And if you're new to the Iditarod Insider and someone convinced you to get the Insider subscription, you're wondering, all right, where do I go? What do I do? You got to find that Insider tab. Check out the GPS tracker so you can see where the teams are, what mile marker they're at, what mile marker the checkpoints are at. Some of the most helpful to try to get an idea of what a dog team might be doing schedule-wise is if you click on the GPS tracker, there's a little like 3 bars at the top right, and if you click on those 3 bars in the top right, you'll see a little menu, drop-down menu. One of the options says roster, and then this list of other mushers and what positions they're in will pop up on the left-hand side, and you'll see under each musher there's a few small little icons. One of those icons looks like a little miniature graph, and if you click on that, if you're still following here, you get to see they're moving, how fast they've been moving so far. So it's a great graph that gives you an indication of how long each team is not moving. So it's kind of hard to tell for the teams that stop not at checkpoints. It's kind of hard to tell where they stop and how long. Well, you can kind of get a better idea if you go to that roster page and you click on that little graph icon underneath the musher's name that you're looking to learn about, and you'll see this amazing graph that shows, okay, they're moving 9 miles an hour for 6 hours, and then you see they're moving 0 miles an hour for 4 hours. Well, that means they were stopped for 4 hours, so you can get a good idea of what kind of schedule they're cooking up. And good idea of when they get to the next checkpoint, do you think it's going to line up with a good place to stop, or is it they only camped 3 hours ago, so they're going to probably pick up some gear and go and camp somewhere between here and the next checkpoint. But from Finger Lake to Rainy Pass is just about 30 miles, and from Rainy Pass to Roan is also just about 30 miles, and it ends up being an interesting kind of you see a lot of teams go through here and a few teams that like to stay just because there's such a short distance between Finger Lake and here, and between here and Roan. It's not quite long enough to be a complete run because these guys are aiming to run about 50 miles a pop or 6 hours. More about time and energy output, but yeah, about 6 hours this time of the race is a good length run. Maybe you go 7, maybe you go a little shorter, go 5. That's kind of part of the finer strategies, and you're just trying to see where these guys might be thinking about 24ing, because they're thinking about it now. They're not. A lot of them aren't sure. Some of the mushers are determined. I'm going to stop for sure at this checkpoint for 24 hours. But a lot of these top mushers have sent out enough gear to go 24 hours at a few different checkpoints, so they just don't know which one they're going to go to, depending on how the trail is and the weather and the dogs. So it's becoming an insider is kind of one of the only ways you can try to depict the strategies of these guys through the GPS tracker and get a good look at the teams coming through the checkpoint at these live streams. As they make their way through the mighty Alaska Range. It's my first time on the mic. My name is Sean Underwood. I'm going to be here with Jody and a lot of the Insider crew. Kyle has been working his tail off getting videos edited and uploaded onto the website. Running around here with the camera, going inside, editing the photos and uploading them, and coming right back out to get the footage, which has been really helpful as we get to use some robust generators here that can go in and out. Kyle's been a steady worker here, getting good footage from Rainy Pass. Oh, let me show you guys this. Here we go. Look at this. You see that little thing moving around in the snow? This is iconic, custom built. It looks like, I'm not very good with how this stuff works, but it looks like a Model T Ford, but it's got skis on the front and then tracks on the back. Dude, I want one. And this thing's been driving around on the lake. It is. People are taking all kinds of pictures and videos, myself included, because you've never seen anything like it. But we're here to watch a dog race, but I'm going to come back to that. You can see a lot of these dogs are already taking their nap and fed. Got it. Looks like Ryan's working on getting the dog meal ready, and it's kind of hard to tell. We see some veterinarians finishing up their vet checks.
You can see the wind has really picked up here. Definitely making it interesting for planes taking off and landing. But right now, Bailey Vitello heading into the checkpoint does not seem to be having a problem with it. See the wind whipping around his team out there, and those dogs are just focused on heading into this checkpoint. See that little plane there had a bit of a wobble. They're definitely a little bit more difficult for the small planes in the wind, but our pilots are professionals out here. Well, it can't be too bad. Bailey's not even wearing his big parka. Whoop. All right, Bailey's announced he'll be going through, so now we get to watch him do his gear check. He'll be grabbing what he needs to take with him on the trail. All right, let's get a good look at Bailey's team lined out here. He's got some tangles. He's going to get them all straightened out. All right, let's pan back and watch Bailey. First thing the officials are asking him is for his gear check. Again, mandatory gear all mushers must carry include an axe, snowshoes, cold weather, sleeping bag, 2 sets of booties for all their dogs, and the ability to feed them on the trail. They'll also be carrying their mandatory vet book, and you can see Bailey signing it with the veterinarians there before packing it back in his sled. Also a nice shot. Let's give a shout out to our cameraman Kyle, who's been up nonstop. In addition to the live feed provided by the Iditarod Insider, this year we have 5 different setups traveling down the trail that'll all be available at different times in different places. We have cameramen recording interviews, getting close-up footage. All of those videos get posted to the Iditarod Insider website. It's not too late to subscribe if you want to get all the action. Doing a little reorganizing and packing. I don't know if you can hear Bailey's chatting with the volunteers and the checkers. Appears to be in great spirits. We saw the race official give the touchdown sign, which basically means that that musher will be going through the checkpoint. It lets the volunteers further down the dog yard know that they do not need to park him, that he will be heading through. There you go. That's your going through team sign, ladies and gentlemen. Our race judge in Rainy Pass, Mr. Andy Engstrom. I think honestly folks would be really surprised to see how much planning, logistics, and communication goes into putting on this race, especially with all of our checkpoints being in such remote locations. The Rainy Pass checkpoint is located at the Rainy Pass Lodge, and I'm not sure if folks know this, but this is the oldest hunting lodge in Alaska, operating year-round. They've been partnering with Iditarod to set up this checkpoint here and provide hospitality for mushers and their dogs. One thing folks might find interesting, if you've been following the race for a while, you're familiar with the fact that mushers use straw to make beds for their dogs on the snow so that they can rest comfortably. If you were listening earlier, you heard Bruce Lee talking about them picking up hay here. And you probably thought to yourself, Bruce, how'd you get that wrong? Actually, Bruce was right. Rainy Pass is a pretty unique situation. The owners of the Rainy Pass Lodge actually have horses here on the property. Every year for the Rainy Pass checkpoint, instead of flying in straw, the Iditarod, partnering with the lodge, flies in hay. After the race is over, the hay will actually be left here in the open area and the horses will be let loose to graze on it. Hay has the same insulative value as straw, but in this case, when it's so expensive to fly in supplies, bringing in the hay instead of straw is kind of like killing two birds with one stone. The dogs can use it to camp on comfortably while they're here, and then the lodge owners can use it to feed their horses after the dog teams are done.
Did you mention why the volunteers hanging with those leaders? Why he? Oh, I just saying. Just you see the volunteer hanging out with the lead dogs. Sometimes if you just leave the lead dogs as where they are while Bailey's packing up, they start wandering around the checkpoint. So.
Yeah, they're naturally curious. They want to see what's going on. Yeah, Bailey taking a minute to thank the volunteers on his way out. Team's looking real good. We got another team coming in right behind him. Jesse Royer. Yep. Jesse Royer has done probably more Iditarods than anybody running the race this year, a seasoned professional. In addition to running the race, Jesse has also volunteered and been a race judge multiple times. So her involvement with the Iditarod runs deep. All right, we're watching to see what Jesse's going to do. Looks like Jesse's going to be staying here for a little bit. She'll still need to have her gear check, pick up her supplies and drop bags here before she can park the team. Do you hear that all? 21 Iditarods for Jesse Royer. We often joke, and Sean will back me up on this, that mushing is addictive. Jessie took a couple-year break and volunteered as a judge here, but she just couldn't stay away. She's back in the race. All right, she's grabbing some heat to take with her to her camping spot. You can see another small plane taking off in the background. Busy day here at Rainy Pass. Now you notice she's loading her drop bags on top of her sled. She's not repacking her sled. She's going to carry them on top of her sled that way to her camping spot. That way she doesn't have to walk back and pick them up on foot.
attempt to keep my phone warm, I haven't looked to see which team this is, but I've heard it could be Wade Mars from the 49th State Dog Kennel, I believe they call it now. And if this is Wade, this is his first time running the race. I think he took last year off. He's been in multiple top 10, at least one, if not two, top 5 finishes. Now, Wade, as he shared publicly on his kennel's social media, has a combination of his dogs, which is kind of a younger or maybe just slightly less experienced group, has been mixed in with some CV dogs, Mitch CV. And so if this is Wade, which I'm not entirely certain yet, he's definitely got a team in front of his sled that is capable of winning this thing, as there are many teams that we've seen already here in Rainy Pass capable, including every team that's stopped here and that's gone through. They're capable. Let's see who this is. Let's get a confirmation. Looks like a Wade Mars to me. He's got some kind of pretty cool harness setup. His dogs have... Hold on. Got some exploratory lead dogs here that are looking to find where the trail is. I mentioned this earlier. When the teams come through the checkpoint, they're used to having a pretty clear, trail in a remote area, and you come out here, and the trail, so to speak, is like 150 feet wide. So they're kind of not sure if they're in the right spot. But these harnesses these guys have is kind of cool. They're X-backs, which is kind of standard. One of the main kind of harnesses that you see on sled dogs in general. There's a few different kinds, but what makes these ones unique, they have these, it looks like kind of wind protectors on their bellies. And they don't have zero insulation on them, but they're just for the wind, because when the dogs are running without wind, you're running 10 miles an hour, wind's going to be coming through their front legs and channeling down in between their back legs. And when now, of course, it's blowing right now, as you might be able to tell on the camera. And so sometimes when the wind's blowing, if you ever pet a dog's belly, they don't have as much fur around their belly and some of the more sensitive areas down there. And so it looks like these were sewn on. It looks kind of like a custom job, maybe by yeah, I don't know who by, but they're custom job, and it's kind of cool. Little, just kind of preventative dog care, which is the name of the game here. That's why dogs wear booties. They're not wearing booties because they, have dings and cuts on their feet. They're wearing them so that they don't get those cuts or those, worn pads, right? And same with this. You wear those little wind protectors there for these guys, and it helps protect their stomach from any kind of long cold exposure. Although these guys are all very well adapted and evolved to deal with the cold. Just taking that extra little bit to keep them cared for. And Wade's going to be hanging out here in Rainy Pass, So we'll get to see some more of him. And as the dog teams are parking, each time, you know, we spent a lot of time trying to figure out where to put the camera, and I think we put it in a pretty cool spot. But as the teams continue to park here and the race progresses, you're going to see each team get a little closer and closer to the camera. So we'll be able to kind of get a good look at some of these mushers taking care of their dogs, and taking off the booties, laying down some straw, and getting them bedded down, cared for, and fed. That's Wade Mars here at Rainy Pass. So for the teams that are staying here in Rainy Pass, if I was a betting man, I would say they're almost certainly not going to be stopping in Roan, because it's just not quite long enough of a run. One of the ideas of stopping here is you can go through, you get to go over the infamous Dalzell Gorge, which can be pretty dynamic and sporty trail. You get to Roan, and you get on that Post River, which I've heard whispers of it being actually covered in snow a little bit this year instead of just being completely glaciated ice. But you can get kind of through a couple of tricky. This next run is probably one of the more technical sections of trail, and then you go past Roan, and it can be technical in that section as you approach into the Farewell Burn. But you can kind of knock out some of that technical trail all in one run, go through Roan, and get that kind of first chunk of that long run from Roan to Nikolai, and camp maybe, a third of the way or a quarter of the way to Nikolai, and then you've logged about a 55-mile run. And then from once you camp there, you go and all the way to Nikolai, and you can at Nikolai they have a bunch of amenities, ton of space for drying out your gear. So I'd be interested to see. I would bet most of these teams are going to do 2 runs from here to Nikolai. Which is the first village of the trail. Rainy Pass here is a hunting lodge. And got a lot of amazing amenities in a really remote place here. We've got a full kitchen that we have access to, and some amazing cabins, a little museum here. There's going to be live music at this checkpoint tonight. We're going to stay out here at the checkpoint, but believe me, if we could go in there and stream the concert, we would. But not a bad time to be betting down your dog team. While the sun's up, you can see some of these dogs just enjoy some sun during their nap, and maybe just gets them that little extra bit of recovery and relaxation. But they have been battling some strong winds here on the trail the whole race in what is really not considered to be that windy of it's not like generally that windy in this part of the race. It's not like notorious for wind like the Bering Sea coast is. So it's kind of surprising to see. Obviously, we expect wind, but Bruce came into town here. Town is not a town, but he came into Rainy Pass and was just saying how windy it was there, and how we're sitting here like before Bruce got here, we were sitting here like, man, it's pretty windy here. And he got here, he was like, this is like paradise. So it's not as windy here, but it is definitely not calm. And these guys have been taking wind pretty much the whole trail to here. And, you know, the dogs do good. The mushers got the gear for it, but I think, you know, they'd be more than happy for it not to be windy too. And they're going to be going up into Rainy Pass, a place where you never really know with the wind if it's going to channel in to the Dalzell Gorge and up on the pass there, if it's going to go into a more protected area where it might be surprisingly calm. Kind of tough to say.
Rest an entire afternoon anymore. The heat of the day is negotiated now like every other obstacle on this trail. Sit too long and the race will pass you by.
I'm doing really good. The team's doing really good. I'm a little brain dead at the moment, but yeah, things are going well, and I'm excited to continue on and go past Ophir and not come back. keep going on, see all those villages and get onto Nome. That's exciting.
The big one is the heat. I mean, if you think about us as humans, if we were to go in like a hot sauna, you know, we probably wouldn't feel like eating a cheeseburger or something. That's kind of the way I think of it. You know, these guys have been training in 20, 25, 40 below all winter long, and all of a sudden we stick them in 35, 36 degrees above zero. It's hot for them. It's really hot.
I don't know what to expect, but I'm not looking that forward to it, I think. I haven't heard like good things about it, so we'll see.
Welcome to Roan. Here we go.
It's 5:42 Monday evening, and Ryan Reddington, who remains in the lead of the race, is the first team to arrive in the Rome.
Short term.
188 miles into this race. There was a time that it was unheard of for a team not to stop in Rome for rest.
Out of Roan here, it's really icy, and that way they have better traction. That way they don't slip and slide.
Does it hurt their paws or anything?
No, not to be. I'll watch them closely, but it is better for them to take the booties off going over clear ice.
Ryan leaves Roan before anyone else arrives. He's got straw, he'll stop and camp soon. Aaron Burmeister is next, 18 minutes after Reddington.
I'm going to go through, but I need to get food and straw. Is there anybody close behind me?
He's in a hurry to go because of rumors of a tough trail just outside of this checkpoint.
I'm just anxious to get across this river before dark.
Why's that?
Just, we've heard nothing but nightmare stories from iron doggers about the crossing, from the bike, well, I did ITI and everything else, and all the rumors going back to town, so it's had me anxious now for several days.
Burmeister is in Roan for 22 minutes, and he's gone.
Kill me, guys.
before darkness shrouds the trail.
2 down, 46 to go.
Guys, before he gets his meal and his rest in, Wade's gonna get these guys fed, get their booties off, get their beds made, and pack for the next run. There's Ryan Reddington, Mila Porcel, and Michelle Phillips that are still here, and they're tinkering. You'll see the mushers kind of shed some layers when they're in the back of the sled. They're going to be wearing their warmest gear because you're just kind of sedentary, standing on the sled. It's not. There's times where you have to, you know, be a really good and athletic sled driver, but there's a lot of times where you're just kind of taking the wind to the face, and and you're not really moving around. There's not a whole lot of ways to get out of the cold, so you're wearing the warmest gear, but then you start unclipping your dog's harnesses and laying down straw and taking off booties. Next thing you know, you're sweating. So you'll see these guys just slowly start to take layers off as they're taking care of their dogs, because it is considered to be really the most work for a musher is going to be when the dogs are actually resting. And when you're moving, oftentimes you can get sometimes to kind of have a mental break, get your snack, and just kind of clip along down the trail as you start to consider strategies and examine your dog's performances as they're moving from rest to rest.